All right, recently a number of you guys have been asking the question, so I just decided to go ahead and make a video here all about shells, what you need to know for the OSCP. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. What's up, guys? This is Ryan from elevatecyber, and I'm just going to keep it pretty short and sweet. I don't imagine this video being too long, but I'm just going to tell you what you need to know when it comes to shells for the OSCP. Now, I will preface this by saying, really, it doesn't matter. This is mostly just preference. You can use any shell you want, provided that it's on the target system. That's the only prerequisite, really. But if we're just sticking to what you need to know for OSCP, I would say just keep it to either use bash or just use the regular SH, the regular shell, right? Now, how do you know? First thing I wanted to cover is how do you know what shell you're currently using? Okay, well, there's a simple command for this. You do echo the shell environment variable, and that'll tell you what shell you're currently in the context of. I am using the bash shell here, born again shell. I kind of hate saying bash shell because then you're saying born again shell, right? So I'm using bash or the born again shell. However you like to say it. But, I might be using, in your case, you might be using bin sh if you have a shell on a system. It doesn't really matter. The differences between bash and regular sh, normally nothing you're going to even encounter or have to worry about. It doesn't really matter too much, right? It's basically what I want to drive home here. But there's a number of other shells too. When it comes to Linux, like you could have the corn shell, C shell, Z shell, and a number of others, right? But some of these shells might not be by default on the system, depending on what particular version and distro and all that you're dealing with. But you pretty much know in all situations it'll have bash, and if it doesn't, it will have /bin/sh, right? And so basically, if you just use this and sh, you're good to go. That should cover every scenario that you'd encounter, most certainly on the OSCP as well. You should be fine there. Now, I wanted to touch as well on Windows shells, right? Obviously, when it comes to Windows, you have two main things, right? You have cmd.exe, right, your command prompt, and you have PowerShell. Pretty much at any time, if you can get a PowerShell instance going, it's almost always better, just because PowerShell has a lot of functionality in it that is really nice, right? And you can even start importing some of these third-party scripts, right? Like Power View, Power Up, and all that good stuff to give you access to some nice modules you can run, extra commands you can run, basically to do further enumeration on the system, to help you with privilege escalation or whatever it is you're trying to do. Maybe lateral movement, even if you're doing the PWK labs, right? But really, you can also run PowerShell within the command prompt, right? Just by doing PowerShell, not in here, but say at a Windows command prompt, right? I could do PowerShell and then have invoke expression or whatever command you want to type here, and run the PowerShell that way, right? But pretty much now, especially now that they updated the labs in 2020, all the boxes should have PowerShell on there. If you're dealing with really old Windows servers, they might not have PowerShell on there. I forget what version. I think if you go anything older than Windows 2008 and below, I think might not have PowerShell on the box, but anything newer than that, we most certainly will have PowerShell. And so if you can spawn that shell, then that is the ideal way to go. Now, I want to give you a little bit further information as well. There's a GitHub repository you can grab called NISHANG, and I'll just go there on the browser and show you as well. But basically, what this tool does is it gives you access to a lot of different Windows tools, but in particular, the one that I found very useful in these CTF contexts our the PowerShell TCP script here, and I did see it I saw it earlier out there. Maybe I'll go back, but basically this NISHANG is a framework here of scripts and payloads they can use that utilize PowerShell. But in particular, this one here, Invoke PowerShell TCP, is one that I found to be extremely useful for getting your reverse shells. So basically the way that you'd use this is, say you're dealing with a Windows server, right? You got some kind of command execution on the underlying server, and now you're ready to turn that into a full-blown shell, right? So what you would do is, it's actually a multi-step process, right? Well, first, obviously, you have to download this on your system, right? And let's just say we oh, there it is. I see it. NISHANG, right? And I think even within that, it's in shells, I believe. Yeah. So basically what you want to do is you go in here or wherever you have the script, right? And then you start a Python web server. So I'm going to do that here. HTTP server. I'll run it on port 80 for the sake of this example. I have to have root permissions to do that though. So I'll do that. And so yeah, now I have that listener going. And honestly, let me try this again on Tmux. It's gonna make this a lot easier. So I can show you with multiple windows. But we'll go into op NISHANG, shells, and I'll just drop Tmux in right here. And so let's say we run our web server on port 80 here. And then what we would do is we can actually go to wherever we have our command execution on the server. We also spawn a listener. Let's say we're listening on port 9001. We would need to go into the file, right? The invoke, and you might want to copy this file so you have a different version of it, so you're not overriding the only version you have. You might have to pull down a fresh one in that case. What did I type wrong here? I'm just gonna copy paste this. It's gonna make it a little bit easier for me if I can type correctly here. So what you do is you'd actually come in here, right? And you would specify, like, see where your examples are. You actually specify the IP address of your machine and the port you want to listen on. In this case, I'll put 9001 here. And so, like, once we put in our attacker IP address and our port that we're listening on this script, right? What we can do from here, let's see if I can exit out of here. What we can do from here is we'll go to wherever we have our command execution, and we'll tell it to grab this file. And so what it's going to do is it's going to actually grab this file and then execute this shell and connect back to our listener, because that's what this PowerShell code is doing in here. It's going to connect back to our listener, and now we'll have a nice PowerShell shell here that we can interact with. And it's a really, the nice thing about doing it this way through NISHANG is you actually get a pretty nice shell, a pretty good one, where you're able to move left and right, and I think you can up arrow and do all the nice things. It should be a pretty solid shell that you can have. So that's just a little bonus that I wanted to give you guys on top of all the other things we're talking about, right? I want to cover Linux as well as Windows. So if that helped you, if you have any additional questions, goes without saying, pretty much anytime you have additional questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section. I'll do my best in my abilities to get that answered for you. And yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button to help get this message out here to those in need. And I will see you guys over in some more videos on what you need to know for OSCP. Would definitely be the next place I'd recommend to go to learn even more. So thanks for watching. I'll see you over there.